Welcome to Truth Talks Podcast. My name is Nicole Queen, author, speaker, writing coach, editor, and publisher at Vision Publishing House, but most importantly, ambassador of God's truth. If you enjoy real, unfiltered, and authentic conversations that address the hard truths in God's Word, then you're in the right place. So make sure you're in a comfy spot because it's about to get up close and personal with our featured co-hosts and invited guests, where we will discuss topics centered around stewardship, discipline, wellness, identity, and healthy relationships. After the show, let's continue the conversation in our Truth Talks community. Connect with us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram using our Truth Talks podcast handle. But for now, let's talk truth. Hey, Truth Talkers. Welcome to another week of Truth Talks podcast. And just like I promised y'all, hey, Steph, just like we promised, we are back again with the amazing Stephanie Andrews. I'm going to stop saying her whole name so she won't get me, y'all. Because I tell you, I don't know what she does to me outside the studio. She be like, if you call me my full name one more time, hey, y'all. She's a Christian and all, but don't call her the wrong name. She makes sure you be like, look, don't call me that. My name is Steph. So that's what, y'all. I'm going to say Steph, okay?
No, we just chopping it up. So it's a comfortable environment. You know what I mean? We're friends. I want... we don't have to be so formal. That's all.
Okay.
Y'all call me Steph.
With the Truth Talkers, too. Make sure they know. They can kick their feet up and call you Steph.
Right. Yes. This is a relaxed environment, right?
That's right. All right. So, speaking of it being a relaxed environment, it kind of ties in a little bit to our conversation today, guys. So, this one may ruffle some feathers, but that's why we have to talk. That's what we're trying to provoke thought and have people really think about what's going on. You see females' behaviors, male behaviors, sometimes restricted or constrained or encouraged as far as the flip-flop. And I'll explain what I mean. So I see in some situations where females are encouraged to have male behaviors or to lose their sense of femininity to conform to male-type behaviors. And then you also see in some cases where males are encouraged to adopt more feminine traits and behaviors. And I just think that is so wacky. It is so strange. But I think it gets even more challenging when you're in a workplace environment, and not only is it accepted, but almost like forced on you. And so last week, Steph, I got it right, Steph. Last week, Steph was talking to us about some of the things that she encounters at work and some of the things that she had to deal with or a specific case. But there's more to that. We talked a little bit about Steph being in the security and the law enforcement field, but there's an interesting trend going on. Do you mind sharing with us kind of what's going on so that the listeners can kind of connect to your story and what's happening? Because I was shocked. When you first told me, I was blown away.
So I recently received a written reprimand at work, or a write-up, as they call it, for my nail polish, which is maroon in color, not excessively long nails. They're not oddly shaped or anything like that, simply that they are maroon colored. And they do extend slightly past my fingertip, which is not allowed. So I received, like I said, a written reprimand because my nail polish was maroon colored. And it's just that, among other things, we are not allowed to wear earrings at all, not even studs in this field. And I do understand safety hazards. I do understand the possibility of encountering someone in a physical altercation, and that could potentially cause harm to me. If you have on like big hoop earrings or something like that, then that could hurt you. Or if your hair, you have a long ponytail, someone could pull it and use different tactics against you with your own hair. So I do understand the dangers of some of these rules or regulations or standards that are set, but I have noticed that over the years, I've been in this field for 15 years now, and I've noticed that over the years, female officers are becoming more and more defeminized, or the standards for the female officers are becoming more and more less feminine, I should say. We're already, the attire is already masculine in appearance, so to speak. And when you see female officers, they're most likely, they issue us male pants. There's the fittings are male sized, and so is all of the other attire, the jackets, the shirts. So everything you see, it comes in male sizes, even though there are female. There are female officers who have like female vests. They have like a cup in it for your breasts, so that it won't be, uncomfortable. But that is not the field that my companies don't do that. My company does not do that. My agency does not do that. So you're just forced to deal with what you're issued, and you have to wear what you're issued. Yes, I just noticed over the years, like I said, initially we weren't allowed. When I first got into this field, we were allowed to wear earrings. They couldn't be any larger than the size of a dime, the circumference of a dime, but we were allowed to wear stud earrings or hoops no larger than a dime. Now there's no earrings at all. Like I said, no nail polish. They don't want us to wear any nail polish, I recently learned. At first there used to be like a neutral color or something pastel, but now it's no polish at all, unless it's like, just like a clear, like manicured look. And so these standards and these rules and regulations, they are ever changing, and it just seems as though they're going towards, women being more and more, less and less identifiable as females outside of their, our facial features. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's scary to me, because not only are they, I can't even say that they're like sending subliminal messages, but it's literally putting you in a very bad situation, because for many people, working a job is their livelihood. It's their income, their money. And so to tell somebody or to say you must dress this certain way or you must have this certain type of attire, and you have to now not have nail polish or not have or hoops or anything that makes you, especially, and stand out as a female, because I know some people who just love earrings. Like, they just don't feel right without something in their ear.
That is a hard thing. That is a very hard thing.
Yeah.
Yes. Girl, you remember back in the day when we were growing up, your grandmama was like, "Where your earrings at?" It was almost like you would get in trouble for not having earrings on. If your mom and your aunties or your grandma was anything like mine, my mom was like, "Where your earrings?" You know what I mean? So it just becomes a part of you, and I did identify as a female that way, But it's just like,
absolutely,
they don't. It's almost as if they don't want you to identify as a female, and that's what bothers me.
And that's the problem. Because the minute you stand up, it could affect your income. Because if this career is, basis of your income and your money, then how is this going to look when you're trying to take home a paycheck and now you have stipulations that are affecting your ability to be good at work, And so if a situation happens where you get reprimanded, you could potentially be laid off. And so now what's hanging in the balance is, do I conform and just keep my mouth shut, knowing that this just really, really, really ruffles my feathers, or do I say something and potentially get laid off, and now I have to find another job? And again, you've been in this field for over 15 years. So it really puts you in an extremely hard situation. You have to make decisions that you otherwise would not have, because it starts with nails today. It starts with color tomorrow. Next is, your hair can't be this long. Next is, you have to have
it's already that.
head. not just in bun, but you have to have, a male cut. You can't have, your hair can't be longer than an inch.
Yeah, that is definitely that would be my very last day.
Yeah.
You know what, Nicole? You know what really grinds my gears about this situation? And I don't want to, because I understand that you sign on for this. You know what I mean? As an officer, there are certain compliance rules that you just have to follow, and I get that. So I don't want to come off like I'm just being rebellious because I just want to do what I want to do. It's more of a identity thing and what I know the agenda is behind it, or what I feel like the agenda, what it seems as though the agenda behind it is, because it isn't a performance issue. If you tell me that having red nails is going to affect my performance as an officer, or going to put me in harm, or other people, the public, in harm in some way, then I would wear clear nails every day. But because the color of my nails has absolutely nothing to do with my ability to perform my duties as an officer, I don't understand why it matters. You know what I mean? Even with the earrings thing, I can see that. Like I said, if you're having a hoop and you get into a physical altercation, someone can pull that, it'll rip your earlobe, you're bleeding, there's an issue, right? So I get that, but I mean, not even a stud. If someone pulls, you get into a full physical altercation, and someone, happens to be able to touch your ear to pull your earring, a stud is just going to slide right off. You may lose an earring, but that's probably the extent of the damage that will happen. So it's just like, and these are, like I said, these are things that identify women as women. And we're being like literally stripped of these things for the sake of compliance with some man's, some higher up, some VP's standard. And it's just like, wow,
Almost like they want you to be a man so that when, you come to work, it's like, see all the guys we got today, and it just kind of really makes you think, is this field turning into more of a male-dominated field, or like they just want to push the male agenda, or you know what I mean? It just kind of really raises those questions.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with complying with the standards of the job. There's going to be rules, you know what I mean? Everywhere you go, you have to, and rules keep order, but it's not an order issue. You see what I'm saying? It just doesn't make logical sense. There's nothing that anyone can tell me to make me believe that my nail color is going to cause me to harm myself, or put myself in harm's way. Or I can still shoot. I can still operate all of my equipment. My nail color has absolutely nothing to do with my performance. It's just like, make this make sense, and it doesn't. So, in any event, that's what happened. I was given a write up, and I didn't fight it or anything like that. I just thought it was really interesting that they went to the extent of putting it on paper, putting paperwork behind it. I was just like, wow, okay, man. And so that's kind of something that I dealt with at work recently, and a lot of it is male dominated. No, of course, but there are a lot of female officers as well. And then I have this thing where I have questioned over the years whether or not I wanted to continue in this field because of some of the performance expectations, and not my ability to do them, but just whether or not I should be. You know what I mean?
Understood.
Even by biblical standards, men are protectors by nature. They are caretakers in the sense of being a shield, a protector.
Yeah.
And this is a protection. This is a protection field. This field is based off of protection of property, protection of life and property. So I sometimes wonder, especially after this summer, I got into a physical altercation with a man.
Wow. I didn't know that. Girl,
I did. I got into a full-on brawl with a grown man, and it was intense. It was intense. There was one point where he actually straddled me, and because we were both on the ground, and all I could think of was not to let this man get my gun, because I knew that I had, if he got that gun from me, I was going to be in trouble. And in that moment, I just kept telling myself, get up, you know what I mean? And I flipped him over, and it was really intense. And out of 15 years, I had never had a situation like that before.
This was at work.
He was high on PCP, and I don't know what it is about PCP, but this drug gives people super strength. I mean, he was so strong because I had a male partner. And both of us were struggling. And when we finally got him restrained, I had to handcuff his ankles and his hands, just to keep him, still. But anyway, that incident made me question whether or not, as a female, I should be doing this, or if I even wanted to, because it made me feel away, Yeah. And at that point, I started to really get serious about looking for an alternative career. And so I've recently stepped out of physical security into security programs, and that's more administrative work. And it's I don't want to say it's more of a woman's job, but it's less dangerous. And I feel more comfortable in my femininity there.
Wow.
Yeah. And I can wear nail polish.
Yeah. Oh, yes. And I like
and earrings.
I love what you said. It makes you feel more feminine, because when you don't have on earrings and things that make you feel feminine where you were, it causes you to feel different. And again, and I love that you made it very personal to you, because you're not telling, and we're not saying all women should do this or no women should do that. We would never.
No, absolutely not. No.
Speaking from your standpoint, how you feel, and anytime you feel less than who you are and who you were created to be, that's where you have to make the decision. And the Word of God does talk about certain things like, convictions. Certain people say, oh, I want to eat meat. I don't want to eat meat. God said, just let them have their own personal convictions about it. Let them make their choice. God says one is not right over the wrong of the other, but it's their personal conviction. So in this situation, you feel less feminine knowing that you are a woman and you want to feel feminine.
I love my femininity. I love expressing I love being a woman, and having to suppress that every day for hours on end or not suppress it, because you're still a woman, but you just don't feel very feminine because of your attire and because of the nature of your job. Even the way you have to speak to people and deal with the public, especially when when you're approaching people, and I mean even grown men. I don't have a problem with being stern with people, but at the same time, it's just like, as a woman, I don't want to be approaching men like, hey, you know what I mean? It's just like, it just goes against me personally. It goes against who I am or what I feel as though the way I should be speaking to people. So, yeah.
And it's all preference. It's all preference, but the fact
Absolutely. Because I know some dope female officers, and they're really good at their jobs. You know what I mean? And I was good at mine. It just, it doesn't fit me anymore. As I grow older, my perspective has changed. When I was younger, I had a different perspective about it. And when I was not as knowledgeable of some of the biblical standards for womanhood, it was just different then.
Yeah. And I know there are some things, and some people will say like, well, what makes a woman, or what makes a feminine, and what makes masculine. And I do know that there are certain things that, that gentle, soft nature, generally, women, and like you said, with men, that whole, not that they have to be big and buff, but just that whole, I want to protect, I want to provide security, I want to, just make sure that things run smoothly. That's usually innate within a man, kind of DNA. And so to have a woman feel like, I got to be rough and tough, I got to be responsible, I got to be in charge, I got to be, and then when you go home, it's like, let me just go back to being soft and gentle. Then I got to go to work.
That's interesting that you said that. Yes, because I remember my husband telling me that. Like, look, you're not at work no more. Calm down. You know what I mean? Like you're not at work no more. Calm down.
Flip-flop back and forth.
You don't need to be Officer Andrews here. You know what I'm saying? Like, chill out. And I was just like, oh yeah, I could be a girl again. You know what I mean?
Oh my goodness, it's so crazy because there's so many male-dominated professions, and and as much as this world is like, I want to be fair to women, I want to give women the same opportunity, but when we really think about it, what is it doing to us? I mean,
absolutely, exactly.
What is it doing on the subconscious level? And then also, it's almost like it's this adapted personality that you have to have sometimes just to be able to flow in that space and do your job and meet all these expectations and compliance rules and things like that. And so I know we're talking a lot about from a feminine role and a feminine perspective, but I know that this does happen to males as well. And you males in professions where it's typically feminine, and I don't want to go as far to say that it's wrong that men do makeup and men do hair, but think about the traits and some of the behaviors and some of the, things associated with that. They tend to take on more of a feminine type of persona in a sense. You don't have to say it. I will say it. Effeminate men are becoming the norm in this society, especially amongst certain generations. I mean, I see guys with purses on. I don't care what they call them. It's a purse. It looks just like mine. Sir, that's a crossbody, okay? I know a crossbody when I see a crossbody. You can call it a man bag or whatever you want to, metrosexual, all that. It ain't a briefcase. Right. It ain't a work
sir, that is a purse, okay? And it just throws me. I'm just like, no, wow.
And there's so much confusion, especially to children, because when I grew up, and I'm not saying like the whole boys like blue, girls like red. It's not even a color thing. It's more of a whole. And I'm not saying it just because you're a woman, you got to cook. Just because you're a man, you got to go out and, chop wood. And nobody's saying all of that. But what we're saying is the personality or the what's the word I'm looking for, the behaviors associated that make a woman a woman, everything is so fluid now. It's like you don't know. Unless you literally see what they got, you don't always know who they are because the behaviors are back and forth. And I'm not
it's crazy
who they are. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
But you can look at a man and be like, wait, I think that's a man. But then it's like, well, hold a second. It's so confusing.
It is. I mean, the devil is definitely having his way, and with this agenda. But it's interesting because with the whole feminism movement and things, the family dynamic being reversed or flipped upside down in the sense with women going to work and burning their bras and all of that, doing all they can to prove that they can do whatever a man can do, or they can do things just as well as a man, when we are in fact designed to do everything men don't do.
Ooh, that's good.
It's like, why are you guys listen, I do not want to sit in traffic for an hour and a half, spill coffee on my lap, slamming on my brakes, trying to rush to work, you know what I mean, to get there, to listen to. No, listen, I could not even imagine the day that I would be able to go back to being a stay-at-home mom or just a stay-at-home wife, or even a business owner, but from home, doing some form of some form of business myself, but just not reporting to an actual job, and being able to have that time to meal prep and plan and cook dinner before at a decent hour, and
but you're
be home
saying you would prefer that.
Yeah, absolutely. Being home to receive my kids when they come home from school, I'm completely fine with that. You know what I mean? As long as there's a sufficient amount of income. And if there isn't, then like I said, I don't have a problem with working. I'm not saying that I don't want to work at all, but I'm not one of those who is going to fight a man that says, don't go to work. You don't need to work. Unless there's something that because even if you have a hobby or something that you can turn into a business, I mean, like I love to cook. I had a small catering business. Stuff like that. I'm not gonna fight. I'm not one of those women like, no, I can do stuff too. No, I can pay bills too. No, I can cut the grass too. I can change the oil. I'm like, Listen, I'm gonna be right here. You want some wings? I'm gonna have some wings for you when you get back.
I love that. I love.
I have a problem. You're not gonna get no fuss out of me, baby.
Right. I love that you shared that because, like you said, you're only speaking from your perspective.
Oh, absolutely. Different for different folks.
But I like that you're able to open up this dialogue so that we can kind of consider those thoughts that we may not have even thought about. So I know traditionally or historically, people were fighting for this right, that right, this right. But when you think about it, it's like, why can't we just be okay with not doing everything? Not that you're less than. Do you feel more than or just as good as and you're able to do stuff other can or male can? I'm saying that you're worse than. It's your accomplishment.
Exactly. So that's what makes us us, and that's what makes them them.
Right. And I'm not saying women can't, but it's a matter of should you? Do you need to? Right. Not that you can't.
I mean, come on. I've already clearly I'm not. I'm a law enforcement officer, so clearly I don't have. I don't believe that women can't do or aren't able, like physically capable of doing some of the same things that men do or can do. I recently was talking to a coworker who's a Marine, and he was talking about how, the Special Ops Division, there was a female, and they used to have a more lenient test for them, a physical agility test for them because they were women, but that is no more. That is done away with because their male counterparts felt as though they shouldn't get a break. If they want to be on this unit, then they should be able to perform at the same level that we are. But we know that men are naturally physically stronger than we are.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you are pushing your body to physical limits, and I'm not saying it's not impossible because clearly it isn't. Women do it all the time, and some of them do it very well. If that's what your thing is, then I commend you. I just know that sometimes it's a double standard with it. It's like, okay, I want to be equal to you, but can you change the tire though? You know what I mean? It's like I want to work. We want equal rights, but until it comes to certain things, some women, that is, not all, some women. But I thought that was really interesting about the Marines and that special.
That's definitely. That's definitely very interesting because, like you said, and the double standard is real. And when you come face to face with your femininity and realize your limits, I think that is where we realize, I want the same rights. But then I realize, wait, I'm not built the same way. So I'm fighting for something that I want that I really shouldn't desire in the first place, maybe. And then
this is like, why do you want that?
Right. Exactly.
To be able to say what? Just to be able to say that you can do what a man can do.
And again, why
is this? Yeah. Sometimes I think it's rooted in something else. You know what I mean?
I think that's the main thing.
A form of pride, or it could be a number of things. But ultimately, I'm completely content with resting in my femininity and
that's right.
Taking on.
It's so impossible.
I'm not going to fight you to take out the trash, change a tire. Can I do those things? Absolutely,
But do I want to?
And I do. We do them interchangeably. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If the trash needs to go out and my sons are not here, or, there's no mail around, I'm not going to just let stinky trash sit in the house. You know what I mean?
You're right. Exactly.
So it's not a thing. Exactly. And then and my husband also cooks. So not a thing where I'm the designated cook only because I'm the woman.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. You're right. Absolutely. Because that's not what we're saying here. We're not saying that one can or can't. It's just being comfortable and resting in a role that, and I don't want to say a role that was created for you, but in a role that fits your personality and how you were created, the qualities that make you a woman, the qualities that make you a man, just being that and being okay with it. So I am thankful, Steph, that we were able to have this conversation. I feel like we always get to deep dive into some good, hardcore conversations, some of those gray areas. I love it. I thank God for you, and I thank God for you, True Talkers, who join us faithfully every week. Thank you, guys, for joining in and connecting with us, and we will see you next week.
Thank you for tuning in to Truth Talks Podcast. If you have feedback or want to chime in on today's episode, you can engage in dialogue with us in our community group or message us on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. In our community group, we discuss the show, build community, and engage in meaningful activities. So feel free to connect with us. We'd love to hear from you. And be sure to tune in on First Saturdays where we have live discussions. And always remember the words of 1 John 3:18. Let us not love in word or talk, but in deed and in truth. So join us again next time as we talk, walk, and embrace God's truth.